Hello everyone, I am very glad that you're joining this story. Subscribe, like and comment. Enjoy the story, smile more often.
I was halfway through reheating last night's takeout, chicken fried rice with way too much soy sauce and zero vegetables, when my phone lit up with a call from my dad. Now, let me just say this. My dad doesn't call. Not unless someone's dead or someone's getting married, which in our family is usually just code for someone got knocked up and they're making it official. So yeah, when I saw his name flash across the screen, Ron, Dad, I knew something was up. He started the way he always does, fake cheerful and a little too loud, like if he speaks quickly enough, we'll avoid anything meaningful. Hey, Evan. Just checking in. How you doing, bud? Bud. That's what he calls me. Not son, not kiddo, just bud, like I'm the neighbor's dog or his coworker from the warehouse. I kept it civil. I'm good, Dad. What's going on? I pressed the plastic fork into the rice, trying to stay present, but something in his tone already felt off. It had that jittery energy like when he used to try explaining to me why I wasn't coming to the beach trip when I was 12. Back then, it's just easier with the little ones right now, Evan. This time, he came right out with it though. Almost proud. Yeah. So we just got back from Colorado, beautiful up there this time of year. Tyler brought his drone, got some real neat videos of us hiking near Garden of the Gods. Linda's planning to print some of the photos for Christmas cards. I paused, not because I didn't understand, but because I did. Fully. Entirely. Perfectly. Every detail was a tiny cut. It wasn't just the trip. It was the assumption that I already knew I wasn't invited. The fact that he didn't even try to pretend I was supposed to be there. Wait, I said, setting the container down and sitting back in the chair. Colorado? When was this? Last week. We flew out Friday, came back Wednesday. Little getaway before the holidays. You know how hectic things get. I didn't know, I said slowly. Because nobody told me. There was a silence on the line, the kind that feels like it's pressing against your chest. Then he sighed. Not the sigh of guilt, but the sigh of someone who's about to make you feel guilty. Evan, look, I wanted you to come, I really did. But what? They didn't want you to come. That's when everything stopped. They? Linda, Tyler. I mean, they just thought it would be tense after everything. I told them you wouldn't make a fuss, but well, I didn't want to make it uncomfortable for anyone. I stared at the wall. For a moment, I could actually hear my heartbeat in my ears. Uncomfortable, I repeated, like I was trying the word out in my mouth. You didn't want to make them uncomfortable. Now, Evan, let me get this straight. I interrupted, my voice calm in that dangerous way. I've been sending you $2,500 a month for the last 3 years. That's 30 grand a year. And they didn't want me there, so you just left me out? Evan, don't throw money in my face like that. Why not? That's all I ever was to you anyway, right? A walking, talking direct deposit. That's not fair. You said you wanted to help us out. We didn't ask for that. You didn't say no either, I snapped. You didn't even hesitate. There was another pause, longer this time. Then he said the one sentence that broke everything. I think you're overreacting. I laughed. Out loud. Bitter and sharp, like metal scraping tile. You know what, Dad? Let me ask you something, and I want you to actually answer me, not with one of your bullshit dodges. If I wasn't your son, if I was just some guy, would you still take my money every month? Silence. Answer me. I don't know how to answer that. That is your answer. I hung up. Didn't wait for him to stammer out more nonsense. Didn't wait for the backpedaling. I just ended it. Sat there, staring at the plastic container of half-eaten rice, feeling like someone had reached inside me and yanked out my guts. You'd think, after 4 decades, I'd be numb to this stuff. But there's something uniquely humiliating about being excluded from a vacation you paid for. Like they just took my money, smiled for the photos, and quietly deleted me from the family. And here's the part that stings the most. When you finally call it what it is, when you finally say, they don't care about me, you're the asshole. You're overreacting. You're too sensitive. But this time, I wasn't going to let it go. This time, I wasn't going to swallow it down and pretend we're still some kind of family. Because I'd finally figured something out. Love without respect isn't love. It's a transaction. And I was done paying the price. After that call, I sat in silence for what must have been an hour, the lights still off, my dinner cold and forgotten on the counter, with only the dim glow of the refrigerator light cutting across the kitchen tiles. I didn't cry. I didn't rage. I just sat there, letting it sink in. Letting the words repeat in my head like a skipping record. They didn't want you to come. You'd think that kind of sentence would leave a dent you could see. Something you could show to people and say, look, this is why I don't call him on holidays anymore. This is why I don't go home for Christmas. But emotional bruises don't show up on your skin, they show up in your choices. In the way your stomach turns when your phone rings. In how fast your hands shake when you see their names. I stood up eventually, and without even really thinking, I went to the little box I keep in the back of my hall closet. I hadn't opened it in years, but I knew exactly what was inside. Receipts, bank statements, notes, scans of checks. All the things I told myself I didn't care about when I sent them, all the things I kept anyway, because some part of me knew this day would come. I dumped it all on the table like some kind of forensic accountant from hell. 3 years' worth of paper and digital printouts, yellowed receipts, and line items that told the story of a man who kept giving, hoping it would eventually be enough to buy his way into a family that only loved him when the money showed up. Tyler's name came up again and again. A down payment here, for tires there, laptop for school, rent, just for a few months. Funny thing is, Tyler hasn't been in school since he dropped out of community college after 3 semesters of skipping class and blaming bad professors. I looked at one email from 2 years ago, Linda writing me late at night saying, Tyler's trying so hard. He just needs someone to believe in him. That someone was always me. And now he's driving around in a brand new silver Jeep Grand Cherokee with custom rims and a goddamn roof rack he'll never use. I didn't need to ask where the money came from. I remembered the transfer clearly, $9,500 wired from my account after Linda called me crying about how Ron had accidentally co-signed for a loan Tyler couldn't afford. I didn't even ask questions. I just paid it. Like a good son. Like a dumbass. So I pulled out my phone and started a group text with Dad, Linda, and Tyler. I kept it short and surgical, like the cut I was about to make. Just reviewed my finances. I've sent over $120,000 in the last 3 years. That's like $4,000 a month. For what? Silence and exclusion. Now, of course, the math wasn't exactly right. Even I knew that. But I wasn't doing a budget report, I was trying to make them feel what I felt. Used, discarded, and invisible. Linda was the first to respond. She always was. Like some guilt-seeking missile with a warm tone and a cold heart. Evan, we never asked you for anything. You said you wanted to help. That was your choice. Don't turn this into something it's not. Classic. Blame the guy who gave too much for being upset that nobody ever gave back. Tyler followed up with a gem of his own. If this is about the car, that's messed up. You knew I needed it for work. Don't be petty now. Petty. That's what it's called when you finally stop being a doormat, apparently. Petty. Not exhausted, not betrayed, just petty. Dad didn't say anything. I guess he figured staying silent was safer. That's always been his strategy. Wait it out until the dust settles, then act like nothing happened. That silence was what broke me. That unwillingness to take any kind of stance, to say, he's right, we were wrong, even once. So I took screenshots of the whole conversation. Every smug word. Every subtle gaslight. Every passive-aggressive guilt trip. Then I did something I probably shouldn't have, but honestly, I don't regret it even for a second. I pulled up Tyler's fiancée's number, Amanda. We'd only met twice, but she seemed like a nice girl. Thoughtful. Sharp. Deserved better. And I sent her the screenshots with a caption that I typed out slow and deliberate, making sure every word hit exactly how it was supposed to. Just so you know who paid for that gift he gave you. Then I locked my phone and sat back, heart pounding, not from fear but from clarity. I'd spent a decade trying to prove to them I was worth their love. Worth their attention. And all I ever got back was a guilt sandwich served cold with a side of silence. I wasn't trying to blow up Tyler's relationship. Well, maybe a little, but I wasn't gonna keep pretending I was okay with being the family bank account while they lived their lives like I was some ghost. A generous one, sure, but still a ghost. Let them explain it. Let them clean up the mess. For once, I was handing them the check and walking the hell out of the restaurant. There's something deeply satisfying about the click of a phone line going dead after you've said exactly what needed to be said. No screaming, no name calling, just a clean slice through years of bullshit with one sharp sentence. After I sent that message to Amanda and left that group chat hanging in the air like smoke after a fire, I stood up, poured myself a glass of water, and walked into my office with a strange calmness crawling up my spine. That kind of calm that only comes after you finally stopped pretending you don't see the train barreling toward you and instead just step off the tracks. The first thing I did was call the bank. Not the toll-free number where they try to sell you credit cards, but my actual banker, Kara, who I've known for 6 years and who's seen more of my money than anyone in my family ever truly appreciated. I told her, plain and simple, to cancel every standing transfer going to my dad's account. I didn't want a penny moving from me to them without me pushing the damn button myself. Kara was quiet for a second and then said, "You sure about this? These have been set up a while." I said, "I've never been more sure of anything in my life." And you know what? I meant it. I logged into my accounts right after and went even further. I filed disputes on the last 3 transfers, $7,500 in total, under the category of unauthorized or deceptive use. Which, yes, I know sounds a bit dramatic, and I'll probably lose the claim, but in that moment, it wasn't about the money. It was about drawing a damn line in the sand. It was about saying, "You don't get to play family while robbing me blind." Then came the blocking spree. Dad's number. Linda's. Tyler's. Even Amanda's, because I knew she'd probably reach out and try to play peacemaker, and honestly, I didn't want peace. I wanted a scorched earth. I deleted their emails, unfollowed them on every platform, and by the time I was done, my world was quieter than it had been in over a decade. That silence, at first, felt like stepping into cold air after a crowded room, clean, brisk, and freeing. Nobody asking for help with unexpected bills. Nobody telling me I'm too emotional, or making it about myself. I slept like a goddamn baby that night for the first time in months. But of course, silence never lasts when people get desperate. 2 days later, Linda blew up my inbox like it was her full-time job. 8 emails in one day. The first 3 were frantic, subject lines like, "Please read," and "We need to talk." By number 4, the tone shifted from concern to accusation. "We can't pay the mortgage without that money. Ron is stressed out of his mind. You know this isn't right. You're punishing the whole family over one misunderstanding. One misunderstanding. Let me tell you something. If you spend years slowly draining a man of his money, his time, his love, and his sanity, and then cut him out of your life the second it's inconvenient to include him, that's not a misunderstanding. That's a goddamn con job with a Christmas tree and family photos." Tyler finally broke the silence too. A single text, green bubble, all caps. "You're dead to US." And that one? That one made me laugh. Not because it didn't sting a little, of course it did, but because it was just so damn predictable. Tyler has always been a 5-year-old in a grown man's body, stomping his feet and screaming when the toy he likes gets taken away. But the cherry on top, the one that nearly pushed me into a full-blown laugh fit, was the voicemail from my dad. Ron, the man who once told me, "You're too sensitive for your own good," left a message with a tremble in his voice I hadn't heard since I was a kid, and he got pulled over for speeding with an expired license. "Evan, I don't know what's going on. I really don't. I didn't mean for things to get this bad. You've always been generous and we're grateful. I don't know how to fix this. Please call me back. Fix this." That's what he said. Like this was a leaky faucet or a car engine that needed a new part. Like our relationship wasn't a collapsing bridge with flames licking the sides and rust eating through every beam. I sat down and thought long and hard about whether to respond. Whether to call him back, let him cry, Maybe even listen to another speech about how families go through hard times. But then I remembered what he didn't say. He didn't say sorry. He didn't say I was wrong. He didn't even say he missed me. He missed the money. So I texted him one final message. Simple. Cold. Honest. I was already dead to you. You just noticed when the ATM stopped working. Then I blocked his number too. And just like that, the line was cut clean, permanent, and, for the first time in my life, completely on my terms. It was 2 months of silence so thick you could practically hear it creaking through the cracks in the walls, like the whole damn world was holding its breath waiting for me to flinch. But I didn't. I went to work, came home, kept my head down, and, for the first time in years, didn't look at my phone expecting emotional blackmail disguised as a check-in. I thought maybe they'd finally gotten the message. Maybe they'd gotten tired of the chase now that the money train had come to a screeching halt. I let myself believe, for a little while, that maybe it was really over. Then Tyler showed up. It was a Saturday night, late, like almost midnight late, and I was just about to crash with an old Clint Eastwood movie playing in the background, that kind of quiet comfort you put on when your house feels too big for one person. The knock came loud and sloppy, like whoever was on the other side didn't care if they broke the damn door down. When I opened it, there he was, my half-brother, Tyler. Drunk. Red-eyed. Slurring his words before he even opened his mouth. The smell hit me first, cheap beer and sweat and whatever else he'd been marinating in for the last few hours. He looked like shit. I didn't say anything at first. Just stood there staring, one hand still on the doorknob, the other gripping the edge of the frame like I needed something to ground me before I exploded. "You're just gonna stand there like a statue," he slurred, stumbling forward. "You gonna let me in, or what?" "No," I said. "I'm not." He laughed then, that sharp, mocking laugh that always sounded like he was about to start a fight. "What, scared I'm gonna ask for money again?" I didn't rise to it. I didn't say a damn thing. I just stared at him until he finally sighed and leaned against the doorframe, wiping his face with the sleeve of a hoodie that probably hadn't been washed in weeks. "They're falling apart, you know," he muttered. "Dad barely talks. Linda cries all the time. It's a mess, man. A complete shit show." "Sounds familiar," I said, voice flat. He narrowed his eyes at me, trying to focus. "You think this is funny, don't you? You're enjoying this. You wanted to break us." That's when something snapped inside me, not in a loud, angry way, but quiet and deep like a bone giving under pressure after years of stress fractures. "I sent you money for 10 years, I said, the words coming slow, deliberate, heavier than they should have been. 10 years. Thousands of dollars. Rent. Tuition. Credit card debt. Bail money. I sent you enough to start your own damn business. Not once, did you say thank you." He blinked, mouth twitching like he wanted to interrupt but knew better. "You know how I found out Mom died?" I said, my voice rising just a little now. "Not from you. Not from Dad. Not from any of you. I found out from fucking Facebook. A cousin posted her obituary like it was a damn event flyer. And you, none of you even thought to call." Now he looked away, jaw clenched, eyes glossy, but not with any real guilt. Just booze and the slow realization that the mirror he was looking into tonight wasn't gonna be kind. "You think I'm enjoying this?" I said, stepping closer. "You think I like cutting you all out? You think I want to feel like an orphan with living parents?" I gave and gave and gave, Tyler. I didn't want to buy your love, I just wanted to matter. There it was. The truth dropped right on the porch like a dead bird. Not shouted, not screamed, just said. And it hung there between us, awkward and ugly and impossible to deny. He didn't respond. Just stood there swaying for a minute like the words had knocked the wind out of him. Then he muttered something under his breath, something about how none of this was his fault and how Linda was the one who kept pushing, and I turned to shut the door. That's when he said it. "They're gonna lose the house, you know." I paused. "They tried to refinance," he said, avoiding my eyes now. "Didn't get approved. So I did it. I mortgaged it myself. I figured we'd catch up. But then you cut off the money and now it's—" "Wait," I said slowly, stepping back toward him. You mortgaged Dad's house? How? He hesitated just a second too long. Don't bullshit me, Tyler. How? I used your name, he finally said, voice barely audible. Just for the paperwork. I needed a cosigner. You've got good credit. I had some old documents from when you helped me with the car. I didn't hear the rest of it. Or maybe I did, but it didn't register. My heart was hammering against my ribs, and suddenly the cold air outside wasn't cold enough. He forged my goddamn name. I had walked away, clean and quiet, and he dragged me right back in illegally, stupidly, selfishly. I stared at him like I didn't even know who the hell he was anymore. Maybe I never did. And in that moment, any last thread of sympathy I had left snapped like a dry twig underfoot. The difference this time? I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to plead. I wasn't even going to threaten. I was going to bury him in paperwork, lawyers, and consequences. Because now, it wasn't about emotions anymore. Now it was war. I sat at my desk for 3 hours the next morning, staring at the framed photo of my mother that I kept near the window, the one with her in that old blue denim jacket and the wind whipping her hair sideways like she was already halfway out of this world. It was the only thing in this house that still made me feel something untainted by bitterness, the only memory not soaked in manipulation or guilt. After Tyler's drunken confession about the forged mortgage, I'd called a lawyer before the sun even came up, still wearing yesterday's jeans and the sweat of everything that had just cracked wide open. The lawyer's name was Alexis, sharp, efficient, no-nonsense type who didn't blink when I told her my half-brother had committed fraud in my name. She didn't ask if I wanted to press charges. She asked if I wanted to destroy him, legally speaking. I told her no. Not because he didn't deserve it, not because I'd suddenly found some buried reserve of mercy, but because I knew if I took him to court, I'd never be free of them. I'd be tethered to that family circus for another year, maybe more, listening to sob stories and excuses, watching them twist the truth in front of a judge who wouldn't know what I knew, that this wasn't about one forged signature. It was about 20 years of being slowly erased while they cashed every check I sent. Instead, I told Alexis what I wanted, to remove myself completely and permanently from any financial, legal, or medical obligation tied to Ronald and Linda Carter. I wanted the cleanest cut possible, no blood, no noise, just silence and a stack of paperwork that said, I am not your son anymore. She got to work immediately, drafting documents, making calls, untangling me from the disaster my last name had become. But even with the legal knots getting untied, I knew I wasn't quite done. Not yet. There was still something inside me, coiled tight and demanding release, not vengeance, not justice, but something colder. A need to send one last message that couldn't be misread or rewritten, something that would land in their hands with the same dead weight they'd left in my chest for years. So I wrote a note, just one line, scribbled it on the back of an old receipt from the same diner where Dad once forgot my birthday while buying Tyler pancakes. I folded it carefully and tucked it into an envelope with a check made out to Ronald Carter. The amount, $1. The note, here's your last payment. Frame it. It cost me everything. I mailed it the next morning and never looked back. Weeks passed. The silence didn't feel as sharp anymore. It started to dull, like scar tissue forming over a wound that used to bleed every time someone mentioned family. I thought maybe this was what closure looked like. Not a big speech or a teary phone call. Just quiet. The absence of needing anything from anyone who made you feel like needing was weakness. And then, right as I started believing it was over, Alexis called. She said, "You need to sit down for this." That's never a good opener. "Your father passed away last week," she said. Massive stroke. He was in the hospital for 2 days, but never woke up. Linda handled the cremation. There was no service. I didn't say anything. Not because I was sad, not because I was numb. I just didn't know what feeling fit the moment. Relief? Confusion? Maybe both. Maybe nothing. But here's the strange part, Alexis continued. He changed his will. 3 weeks before he died. Put you back in. You're the sole inheritor. What? The house, his car, whatever's left in the joint account. It's all yours now. I felt like the floor shifted under me. He had cut me out emotionally for years. Let them all treat me like an outsider, a bank account with a phone number. Then, right before he died, he writes me back in. No note. No explanation. Just a quiet signature in the dark, like some final gesture that he wasn't ready to admit was regret. I didn't go see the house. I didn't even drive by. I called Alexis and told her to handle the sale however she saw fit. I didn't care about the market value. I didn't want a dime from that building. A week later, she emailed me the final documents. The property was transferred to a local church for $1. I signed them without hesitation. She asked if I was sure. I said yes. I didn't need the money. I didn't want the memory. I just wanted the story to end where it began, with $1. They left me the house. I sold it to a church for $1. Guess I like symmetry.